everybody, it's Miss Megan. Thank you for joining me for another Tiny Tots Online. This week is a little spooky since we're getting towards Halloween. We're going to read and do a craft about monsters. But I try to not be too spooky with the craft or the story. So if you need to be brave, they're not scary. So the first book is called Monster Needs a Costume, and it's a super cute story by Paul Czajak, and it's illustrated by Wendy Grieb, and it is published by Scarletta Kids. And I think it's so cute. Monster needs a costume for his favorite time of year. It's nearly Halloween, he roared. The day is almost here. Can you see him in the window? He's got his friend there. I said to Monster, do you know what kind you want to wear? An astronaut? A fireman? A giant Bartlett pear? That just looks silly and delicious. He shook his head. I want to be a cowboy from the west, and a rope, some desperados with a star upon my chest. He rushed to find his badge and boots, but needed more than that. We made his costume perfect with a 20-gallon hat. Monster was excited, so he wore it every day. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Do you see all the things he's doing while he's wearing his costume? He's reading, he's brushing his teeth, showering, painting, playing in the sandbox, and riding a bike. But then he changed his mind when he discovered the ballet. I know a cowboy outfit was the costume that I chose, but now I'll be a dancer and be nimble on my toes. So he's changed his costume mind. Monster put on a tutu on and danced around the kitchen. Pirouette, plie, tendu, and back to first position. So he's practicing all of those fancy ballet moves. He kept on dancing day and night until his feet were sore. But then he didn't want to be a dancer anymore. So his feet got sore. Monster took his tutu off and placed it in the drawer. He saw a ninja on TV and changed his mind once more. So he moved on from being a dancer to being a ninja. Now I'll be a ninja who's stealthy in the night, the sneaky kind that wears a mask and disappears from sight. You see him hanging from the lamp in the dining room on that page? He's definitely trying to practice being a ninja. The monster threw a shuto and some round kicks in the air. And then he tried to vanish by sliding underneath a chair. Do you see? He's not very good at disappearing under that chair. He's definitely still there. Like a ninja, he was quiet and pretended to be small. But spotting him was easy because he's nearly 9 feet tall. Monster got discouraged and he turned into a grouch. He tossed the ninja costume and he sunk into the couch. So he got really grumpy. Just then he dashed into his room. I know what I can do. And with a toothy grin he said, I thought of something new. He quickly put his costume on and gave a raucous roar. He hurtled down the steps and he bounded out the door. So he came up with the best idea yet. From up the street and down the block, the monster was a sight. The dancing cowboy ninja was the costume of the night. So he combined all of his previous costumes to make one super costume. He was a dancing cowboy ninja. So he's got the hat, the badge, and the tutu on, and the ninja shoes. So he combined all 3 costumes. And then on the last page, you can see him and his friend have eaten all their candy. And that's the end of Monster Needs a Costume. So he not just had 1, he had 3, and then made them all 1 again. Thank you for listening. That's one of my favorite monster stories. I think it's fun how he combines all of the costumes at the end. Now this story is called The Big Scary Monster, and it's all about how this monster learns to be nice. It's by Thomas Docherty, and it's published by Templar Books. On top of a mountain, not very far from here, there once lived a big, scary monster. This monster was bigger and scarier than any other creature, and he knew it. All the other little creatures that lived on the mountain spent their days playing happily together among the small rocks and the small plants. But the big, scary monster was never far away, and suddenly, when they least expected it, what do you think he does? Boo! He scares all the small animals. That's not very nice of him to do. As time went by, the little creatures learned to hide from the big, scary monster. He soon got bored because he couldn't find anyone to scare. Can you see all the animals hiding behind the rocks? So they're all hiding away from the big, scary monster. One day, as he stood at the top of the mountain and looked down into the valley, he saw many other creatures playing happily in the valley below. I'll go down there and scare them, he said to himself. So he's found some more things to scare. So off he went down the mountain. But as he walked, strange things happened. The farther down he got, the larger things around him appeared. The small rocks became big rocks, and the small plants became big plants. And the little creatures that had seemed so small from the top of the mountain, yikes, were actually very, very big. The big, scary monster had never felt so small or scared in his life. Now, do you see the other animals? There's a big pig and a cat and a chicken. There's a lot of other animals. I wish I was back at the top of the mountain with the little creatures and the small rocks and the small plants, thought the big, scary monster. He found a big rock he could hide behind, but then, when he least expected it, it wasn't a rock. Surprise! Boo! It was a big bunny rabbit that he had hidden behind, not a big rock. Back up the mountain ran the big, scary monster. The big plants became small plants, and the big rocks became small rocks, and the little creatures were nowhere to be found because they're used to him scaring them, so they're still hiding. But you can still see them hiding behind the rocks. The big, scary monster felt so alone that he sat down and he started to cry. And then, suddenly, when he least expected it, guess what? Boo! All of the small animals jumped out and scared the big, scary monster. So they played his favorite game. Whew! The big, scary monster was so pleased to see the little creatures that he forgot all about being big and scary. From that day forward, everyone became friends and played happily together at the top of the mountain. And can you guess what their favorite game was? Can you guess? You ready? Boo! That was their favorite game. And that was the end of the big, scary monster. So they still play their favorite game together. Good job listening, guys. So since we read about monsters, we get to do a craft about monsters. Now, if you got your take-home packet, you will get some instructions and a coloring page. But if you're not registered, you can go online to our website and find the link to get this coloring page. What you'll need is a small paper bag, and I used green paper as a backing, where if you're willing, daring, and able, you can paint or cut other paper to size. So I made a face piece and a body piece out of green paper. You can use whichever color you would like if you're creating it on your own at home. So now this goes down underneath to the bottom. So now we have a green monster. And I thought it would be silly if we had one big giant eyeball in the middle. So I used some white paper and some black paper to make a giant eyeball. You can put that right there. And then in the bag, we have some teeth and some horns. So I picked the yellow to be the horns, and you can just glue them all around his head to make horns or claws or whatever kind of decoration you would think about for your monster. I just glue them all around. And then we have some white triangles to make some scary teeth. And those you just put a little glue on the top, and you'll have 3 white triangles to make 3 fangs for your big scary monster. And you just put those under the flap of the paper bag. And I don't need the glue anymore because the last bit is some blue and yellow dot stickers, which I love because they're so easy to decorate with. So you just put those on your monster. Decorate him on his belly, or you can put some on his face. It's all up to you. And then, now you have a fun, scary monster. And then you can put your hand in there. And there's your monster. Thank you for joining with me. I hope to see you next week for another story and craft together. Bye.